Hello and welcome to the daily number workout. Today for fifth grade is the number 34. So let's get started with our word form. So you should have come in and already done all the work, and you're just checking your work to see how you did. And hopefully everything's going to be great. So 34, TH 34, FUR, FOUR 34. And since this is an even number, it is even. So even numbers are 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. So that was simple and fast. Let's go for factors. So we have 1 times 34, 2 times 17. 3 doesn't go in because it went into 33. 4 does not go in because it goes into 32 and 36. 5 doesn't go in because it needs to end with a 0 or a 5. 6 doesn't go in because 6 goes into 30 and 36. Just knowing your multiples of your numbers make a big difference. So this is helping us remember that. 7 doesn't go in because it goes into 35. 8 doesn't go in because it goes into 32. 9 doesn't go in because if we add these up, 3 and 4 equals 7. If it added up to 9, it would go in. 10 doesn't go in because it doesn't end with a 0. 11 doesn't go in because it's not the same number there. It should be 33. 12 doesn't go in. 13 doesn't go in. 14 doesn't go in. 15 doesn't go in. 16 doesn't go in. Boom. Only 1 times 34 and 2 times 17 to get 34. So let's go with the multiples. So we know 34, 2 34s, and let's get out our scratch paper, and you can write right on your paper. I'm just going to do scrap paper so I have enough room for all of our work today. So 34 times 2. So this is good multiplication practice. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 3 is 6. So our next number is 68. 2 34s is 68. Let's do 3 34s. 3 times 34. 3 times 4 is 12. Drop the 2, carry the 1. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. So we have 102. 4 34s. That would be 34 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Drop the 6, carry the 1. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. 136. One way to check yourself when you're multiplying by a even number, like 34, is that every single answer should be an even number. So go back and check. Oh, yeah, they're all even. 5 times 4 is 20. Drop the 0, carry the 2. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 2 is 17. So 5 34s is 170. Let's do 6 34s. 6 times 4 is 24. Drop the 4, carry the 2. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 2 is 20. So 204. All right, let's do 34 times 7. 7 34s. 7 times 4 is 28. Drop the 8, carry the 2. 7 times 3 is 21, plus 2 is 23. So 238. Let's go on to 8 34s. 8 times 4 is 32. Drop the 2, carry the 3. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 3 is 27. So we have 272. All even still. 34 times 9. 9 times 4 is 36. Drop the 6, carry the 3. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 3 is 30. 306. All right. And then, of course, 10 times any number is itself with a 0, 340. Don't even have to think about that one. All right. Let's move on to our next categories, which is fractions decimals, percents, and ratio. I'm going to move these up so that we got plenty of room here to write everything down and do what we're going to do. So remember, our fractions is always out of 100 days. So today is the 34th day of 100 days. If you're doing one number every day of school, working our way up to the 100th day of school. So 34 hundredths, it would written in decimal form as 0 and 34 hundredths. Percents would be 34%. And ratios would be 34:100. So, you know, ratios are things that we might look at in research. 34:100, again, would be another way to write it. So this would be research, search, and statistics. And here we go. Let's write this in word form. So it'd be 34 hundredths. And remember, in word form, when we're talking about part of a number, we add the TH because that tells us it is hundredths. It is right of the decimal. And there we have it, right of the decimal, 0 and 34 hundredths with the THS. All right, next category would be money, and money is exactly the same as decimal, but we add the dollar sign. So we have $0.34. So that's written $0 and 34 cents. All right. So what's good about writing in word form is that when we're doing a word problem, that is when we get a problem that's in a paragraph, the answers need to be in word form. So we need to be able to write it out and know how to write it. If we just wrote 0.34 hundredths, that would not give us the right answer. We want to make sure that we're telling your teacher or whoever's grading your paper that it's and, because we have a decimal. Or the THs, you know, if we said 3,400, that would be a whole lot different. If I had $3,400 compared to 34 hundredths of a dollar, very different. So we want to make sure that we understand how to write it in word form as well. Great. Let's move on. So I'm going to collect up all of my good words here. Hopefully you're writing all these words down too as you do your work, so that you have a clear picture of what exactly you are doing. And it's just helpful to remember how to spell those things as well. So let's go on to our area. And remember, we just go up and grab our factor pairs. So the first factor pair is 1 times 34. So we're going to draw a 34 long. So we're going to say that's 34 long. We don't really worry about, we can't make it 34 of these squares long because I wouldn't have enough room on my paper. So we're just representing it. So 34 long by 1 deep by 1 tall. So here is my rectangular prism. Hopefully by watching me and practicing making rectangular prisms, you're getting really good at these cubes. So our area, oops, I'm sorry, I'm doing volume already. Silly me. See how it is? So we're going to X out all this here. And we're going to X out this. And we're going to say, ah. All right, so we're just 1 here. All right, so we're 34 by 1. So area equals 34 times 1, which equals 34 square units. I'm getting carried away. I'm already at volume. And I'm sure you guys do the same thing. So don't worry about it. Do you see how I just messed it all up? I just X'd out what I didn't want. Okay, so let's do 1 by 34. So this would be 1 wide by 34 tall or long. Again, 34 square units. Sorry about that. All right, let's go on to the next grouping, which would be a 2 or a 30, let's see, 17 by 2. So that would be 17 long by 2 tall. We're just pretending. 17 times 2 equals 34 square units. And the other way we would do it would be 2 by 17. 2 by 17, and I'm not worrying about making it exact. It's just representing 2 by 17, which equals 34 square units. And that's all the areas we got. Now we didn't do perimeter, so we better put our perimeter in here. Perimeter for this one would be a 34 plus 1 plus 34 plus 1 equals, so 34 and 34, we know from our factor pairs or our multiples up the top of the paper, 2 34s is 68, 69, 70. So we have 70 units. And we can flip-flop this to 1 plus 34 plus 1 plus 34, and we get the same because it's the same numbers as this one. And then our other perimeter was 17 plus 2 plus 17 plus 2 equals. And so we have 2 17s we know is 34, 36, 38. So as you can see, when you block them together, you put more in and you have less sides being counted on the outside, you get less, a lot less as far as the perimeter. All right, we can change that one up to 2 plus 17 plus 2 plus 17, just changing up these numbers, and we still get the same because they're the same numbers. All right, geez, I almost forgot perimeter. I'm sure sometimes you do too. So if you do forget, squeeze it in there somewhere or flip your paper over and write it down. There's no worries. I just want you to keep practicing and playing with these numbers. It helps you with your math. All right, so let's go into volume. Ooh, I get to move that right up there. That helps. All right, now I can do the one I started with before, and that would be a 34 by 1 by 1. Here we go. Silly me with my cubes that I did before. Boop. All right, best as you can. 1, 1. So the volume here equals 34 times 1 equals 34 cubic units. All right, the next way to do this would be a 1 by 1 by 34. So let's draw that. It would look like this. 1 by 1 by 34. And I'm just gonna, there we go. 1 wide by 1 deep by 34 tall equals 34 cubic units. And then the other way would be a 1 by 34 by 1. So it'd be 1 wide by 34 deep by 1 tall. 1 by 34 by 1 equals 34 cubic units. All right, looking good. Hopefully you have those down. Now let's go the other route with the 2 times 17. So let's do 17. Let's do right here, 17 wide by 2 deep by 1 tall. Do your best. No worries. We're not perfect here. We're just learning and playing. All right, so we have 17 by 2 by 1. So let's write that down. 17 wide by 2 deep by 1 tall equals 34 cubic units. We always want this to equal 32. So now we can start playing with these 3 numbers. So we know another way to create 34 cubic units would be 17 by 1 by 2 equals 34 cubic units. So let me draw that. So 17 wide by 1 deep by 2 tall. Little different. We just took this object, this rectangular prism, and stood it up on its side. So we have 17 by 1 by 2. All right, let's go on to another way. Starting with the 1. 1 by 17 by 2 equals 34 cubic units. So that would look like, and I'm just moving my paper up so I can draw it. So we have 1 wide by 17 deep by 2 tall. 1 by 17 by 2. The other way we can write that, 1 by 2 by 17. So we have a 1 by 2 deep by 17 tall. And remember, it's not perfect. We're just playing around. There we go. All right, last but not least, let's put the 2 first. 2 by 17 by 1. That would look like this, 2 by 17, whoops, 2 by 17 by 1. 2, 17 by 1 equals 34 cubic units. And then we have a 2 by 1 by 17 equals 34 cubic units. And that would look like 2 wide by 1 deep by 17 tall. 2, 1, 17. Woo, there we go. We have 2, 4, 6 ways to do the 2 by 17. And we have 3 ways to do the 1 by 34. So there we have it today, the number 34. You're looking good. I will see you again. Have a wonderful day.